Loving Sai Ram and greetings from Prasanthi Nilayam. This Christmas season, we saw the familiar mood of celebrations and excitement returning to Prasanthi Nilayam. And coinciding with the Christmas celebrations this year, we also had over 300 devotees from Zone 3 of the Sathya Sai Global Council making a pilgrimage, which they called Reunite, Reconnect, Recharge. Today we have in the studios of Sathya Sai Media Center key members of the organizing committee of the pilgrimage to share their thoughts about being in Prasanthi after what felt like a really long while, the process for which this pilgrimage happens to be the culmination, and looking ahead from here. We have with us in our studios today Mr. Indrapalan, Chair of Zone 3, which includes countries Australia, New Zealand, Fiji and Papua New Guinea. Welcome, sir. We have Brother Kamal Naidu, Zone 3 Chair for the special programs and the Chair for this Prasanthi Pilgrimage. Welcome, brother. We have Brother Rakesh Naidu, National Media Coordinator for Australia. We have Brother Abhinesh Ram, National President for Australia, and we have Brother Sevan Naidu, the National President for New Zealand. A very warm welcome to all of you. So let us start by asking you to share why this pilgrimage was important, why it was so significant. So maybe we can start with Indrapalan, sir.
Dear Swami, I offer my most humble pranams at your lotus feet for giving us this opportunity. After this unprecedented event happened in 2020 and 21, people started confined inside their houses. Yes, of course, depends on the technical capability. Some centers started using virtual bhajans, the weekly bhajans. But what we found is they are not connecting. They are just listening to online. And slowly, they used to this idea of becoming, detaching from the centers. So we thought, okay, now everything is now slowly coming up, to normal. If we don't have reunite, the reunite is, they are always united with Swami, but physically not reunite. It's hard for us to bring them back to the centers. So we come up with the idea, yes, I think this is a good time. We have to bring all together back to the centers, because centers are the backbone of the Swami's mission. So in the Zone 3 countries, we have over 56 Sathya Sai centers and 2,200 members. It consists of 350 young adults. But again, the young adults, because of this, all these events, they're taking back seats. So we thought this is the only way we can reunite. So that what ignited this thought for pilgrimage.
And given, as brother has said, that with this lockdown, there was a little bit of disconnect as well. Families were not actually practicing the spirituality as a group coming down to the centers. So one of the objectives while planning for this pilgrimage was to include everybody in this pilgrimage. This is, when I say everybody, the program content and the planning of it was inclusive of families. So we had programs for children, programs for young adults, we had programs for workshops, we have programs for SSE teachers, we have programs for office bearers as well. So this specific pilgrimage, we tried to include and encompass everybody within the organization, given that there was a lag in there as such. And the response was overwhelming for us anyway. The lead up to this, the hype which was created, the enthusiasm displayed by everybody for the eagerness to come back to the source was overwhelming for the committee as such. Anyway, we were not expecting. Yes, we left it to Bhagavan that he is the one who's going to bring everyone. But obviously, from our viewpoint, the numbers we started tracking anyway. We thought, okay, how are we going to, given the expense and other stuff is there anyway. So in terms of planning, pre-planning up till getting to the pilgrimage, and while in here, we tried to include as many individuals as we could, given that there was a big vacuum for about 18 months. to try and involve everybody in there, which gave us a very good opportunity to explore skill sets. This is the first time we have done a zonal activity to come to Prasanthi Nilayam as such, from Australia, New Zealand and the zone, and so which has got a big advantage in sourcing the resource pool. We have sharing of the resource pool within Australia, including from New Zealand as such. So a wonderful experience for all involved in it, and a fantastic feedback whilst leading up to here. I mean, a number of devotees were are not here, but with the support of the media center here, including our media team in there, they are constantly engaged back home in Australia and New Zealand on all of the platforms we have available anyway. So this is not for the pilgrims who are only here. This pilgrimage is for every devotee in Zone 3 who are either here or back home in there. So a fantastic experience and a great learning for all of us in this new environment as such anyways.
It is a pilgrimage, and a pilgrimage is different from a visit.
Correct, yes.
So the preparation for a pilgrimage is different. How was the preparation in that sense for a pilgrimage to Prasanthi? Right? Because even as we speak, there are other devotees who are planning pilgrimages, either as a group, as individuals, or as families. It is important to understand what a pilgrimage really is. So how did the devotees and the members of this group prepare for that pilgrimage?
I'll give you a little background from a New Zealand perspective. We were preparing, but we didn't know what we were preparing for. You know, Puttaparthi is our home. Every particle of dust, every stone, every tree resonates with Swami's name. We went through a little bit of a change, and the transition period was underpinned by that, knowing that Swami had the base at Puttaparthi. So this yearning was always there to connect. In between, we had the pandemic. So what it did was, people started to automatically focus on their spirituality because they had all the time. In fact, I know of some people that read all the Vayinis. Some of the youth started to study the summer showers 1990. Now, they did all this, and it was leading to something, culminating somewhere, but there was a big question mark. What? Then, all of a sudden, Uncle Indra introduces the pilgrimage. So that answered the question. So, automatically, they just embraced this idea of going on the pilgrimage. So, immediately, we started on a sadhana plan. Alongside all the practices that we're going, we had a sadhana plan. So we're working both internally and externally to prepare for this pilgrimage. And what actually reinforced this was the visit from the zone. They came to New Zealand, visited across the country, every center, and engaged with almost every one of the devotees. So that really solidified this whole idea of going on the pilgrimage for us. So, throughout the emphasis was on this pilgrimage from the head to the heart.
It was coming to a point where we could see the numbers dropping in virtual sessions. And Brother Rakesh, being our media coordinator, I would reach out to him to say, how's the numbers this time? And you could see it dropping. So the engagement level was dropping. And understandably, because it was very virtual. Then when the centers started to open up, members had a fear of coming out to centers, especially the elderlies. That's when the challenge began as to how can we engage members to come back to centers. Office bearers commenced a center visit to all the centers. There was a bit of engagement. However, what could be the driving force to capture the members? And that's when the uncle proposed the pilgrimage. But then again, when the promotion started, there was quite a small uptake. So how could we get members interested in this? And the concept of a retreat with the theme Journey with Sai was put together. And in Australia's context, it's so geographically isolated, all the states, we thought rather than having a national retreat, we will have a state-by-state retreat which should mean that we engage as many members possible. And it worked out. We had in total about 700 members across Australia participated in 4 states. And members were connecting to what Brother Sai Girdhar and Auntie Latashri was saying. And they could see the experience that they would get when they embark on this Prasanthi Pilgrimage. So I think that all started the process. And coming here, it's such a lovely experience, and there's so much feedback that we would like to share with members.
When we came up with the idea of pilgrimage after the big vacuum, and I prayed to Swami, okay, even Swami allow 100 people to come, that's enough for me as a starting, because we don't know where to start, because this is the first time we are doing a family pilgrimage. Usually it's a young adults, different pilgrimages, different needs. Then slowly when Kamal said, we have got an expression of interest for 365 people, I thought, with the current volatile situation, financial situation, but still people put expression of interest. So now we have over 300 people. But the important thing is now, at that time of when we decided this pilgrimage, we did not know what is the outcome. But yesterday night, the young adults, around 70 young adults in this pilgrimage, they came and told me, Uncle, now this is the first time all 3 countries are together. We have made friends between the 2 countries. So can you organize young adult pilgrimage to Prashant? I said, why not? Yes, we'll do it. I'll talk to the national presidents and we'll do it. Yeah. So we can see that Swami giving us the answer.
And it has developed into a family reunion. As we all know that 2-3 years has been difficult for people living overseas and the families being here or abroad anywhere. This has created a reunion for the families in here. They've come from all over the world in here, and we have facilitated for that from the pilgrimage point of view. How do we get them in here and to allow them to participate in our programs as such? And the environment of being shut down was probably distressful for a lot of people, but we have created this opportunity for a huge family reunion, not only with our personal friends and families, but our wider family. But just adding on to what brother was saying, how did we actually build up to this anyway? We had used all the current platforms available to us. We use the traditional channels, including the channels which are now, which over the COVID period, people were getting used to the idea of Zoom. I'm sure a lot of people prior to COVID were a bit hesitant to go into a Zoom. But I'm sure now all these platforms which are available, I'll get Brother Rakesh to speak on what are some of the channels we had actually used, and then we measured in terms of, as brother said, expectation was 100, 150. As it started to actually, the numbers started to come in. So the technology has greatly helped.
For an organizing team, the numbers are important.
Correct, yeah. Because of the logistics involved in that.
Accordingly, you'll have to prepare their time when they are here.
Yes.
So, I think for me personally, it was a core to come back home. Once we actually started to look at, I guess, the pilgrimage, obviously we had been in a virtual space. Now we're trying to actually get our members and devotees to come into a physical space. We need to, I guess, also consider, the composition of our devotees now, not a couple of years ago. So I think we had a hypothesis that, a number of devotees may not have actually come to Swami ever, or may not actually have seen Swami in his physical form. We do know from our information that a number of devotees have not been to Prasanthi ever. What we needed to consider was, how do we not only cater for the different, age groups, for example, SSC, young adults and adults, but also how do we needed to consider for people who are coming to Prasanthi for the first time ever. And so what we thought about was actually quite early on in the piece was we mapped out basically a plan from a media point of view on how do we actually reach out to the different audiences. One is obviously the geographical challenge. Obviously we have, Australia is a big country, firstly, New Zealand and other countries within the zone. So we needed to consider that. Two, we needed to consider, obviously, if we were to try and actually, encourage our senior devotees to come, how would we reach out to them? Technology obviously becomes a bit of a challenge for them. So we need to kind of include all of those things. So that's why I think very early this year, about 9 months of planning when we kicked this off, we needed to consider all those things, but we needed to consider this in a very methodical way. And we pretty much had, right at the start of it, a fairly detailed media plan, if I may call it. Media meaning, how do we engage our members? How do we inform them? I think that was, how do we create the awareness? Because obviously, everyone's very insular with being in the virtual environment. So that was a lot of things we had planned out over the 9 months. We obviously had to tweak the program and the plans accordingly. But as the data came, as we saw what the information was and engagement, Uncle talked about earlier, the talking to the devotees in our centers, those were data points we were gathering as well to how do we tweak the messaging, how do we tweak the information? Because at the end of the day, I think it's fairly important to make sure that devotees are engaged. They understand why they're coming to the pilgrimage. Why what will this pilgrimage be for them, and what will it mean for them when they go back home?
I think just to add to Brother Rakesh's point in terms of engaging with the members, while we were using the platforms and we sent out messages and registration links, we were also on the back end sort of validating if the message has really gone out. The reinforcement there that, we reached out to center presidents, we reached out to individual members saying, did you get the message? We are going to the Prasanthi Pilgrimage. Have you got the registration link? And so that engagement, it was like calling members and trying to take them on the journey that yes, we are going to Prasanthi, and this has been 2 years. We haven't been in touch with each other. So this is an opportunity. And when we have come here, you see that, and I'm looking from an Australian perspective, because the last time all of the devotees met was in the National Conference 2019. Since then, there hasn't been a national event which brought, so National Conference 2019 had 900 members come together. And since then, they haven't met. So now when they have come over here from Adelaide, from Melbourne, from Queensland, they are connecting, coming together, and they're so happy to see each other. The aunties are meeting the young, the SSC children who met in their plays in the drama in National Conference. They have come together. Coming home and meeting your family in that joyous occasion, it's just amazing.
And I think nicely ties with the theme of Christmas, which is joy to the world.
Yeah.
And, we're here as one Sai family to have and experience that joy.
Pilgrimage itself is the culmination of months of planning, not merely from the logistics point of view, but even from the personal sadhana point of view. As much as we all are delighted to have all of you back here, as much as you all are happy to be here, it involved a lot of reorganizing and regrouping in the months before this pilgrimage happened. How did that come about? That also must have added to the challenges of bringing people together. As Swami would say, it's eventually unity which is going to lead you to divinity. So how did that unifying process begin, and how did you carry it forward?
I think it wasn't that difficult. I think from initial stages when we started planning this up, devotees knew where the base was. Devotees knew where the home is. People or the devotees who are attending Sai centers, they know where the link is and where the source is. We just created a vehicle. That's all we gave them a platform to connect back to the ashram. So all we basically did was to ensure we advised them that this was actually happening. As brother said earlier, we have experienced new devotees have come in who have not come into the term. So from a planning perspective, it was actually enlightening them that this program is happening. This is what we are doing, and the purpose of the whole objective of this is to connect to our source, and our source being Prasanthi Nilayam, the ashram in here. So to encourage people to come in, they were already awaiting for this vehicle, and all we basically did was to create a channel. So when we started to send the information out, that this is a wonderful opportunity given for us anyway. So the challenge wasn't too great for us.
Another thing I experienced, we did not feel any difficulties accessing any resources, any people in Prasanthi. We called them, starting from the managing trustee or media center director or anyone, straight we get answers. Yes, you can do it. You can. So we felt that everything was smooth and flow, and we don't need to go through all sort of bureaucratic anything. Just straight, we get the answers. And so this is a big difference from us, how we in the past and now. It's reorganized after reorganized. It's very easy for us to.
We ensured that the guideline that we set for the pilgrimage, it was very open and very transparent, where it was inclusive. We invited any devotee to participate in the pilgrimage and be part of the pilgrimage if they could at least do the sadhana program for at least 2 months and be associated with a center.
Yeah.
And that was very open. So it was inclusive, it was open. The unity aspect was communicated from day one. So that's something that we made it, very open and communicated with the members, that if their friends want to be part of this journey to Prasanthi, then this is as a minimum 2 months of sadhana plan and be associated with the center, and then they are on board to Prasanthi.
We had quite a elaborate plan, if I may call it, from the outset. I think once the concept, the idea was actually announced to our members, it was, I think, fairly well documented as to what the pilgrimage may look like. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of ideas of how the actual program will actually eventuate, but a lot of things were actually mapped out over time. And obviously, Swami actually gives us opportunities to learn through that process as well. So we had that quite, meticulously planned for a number of different, phases, if I may call it. So one was obviously awareness stage. The other one was very in terms of, the pilgrimage, the sadhana. How do we actually, coming to a pilgrimage is not just buying a ticket, getting a visa, and getting a boarding pass and coming to Parthi. But it is actually, how do we prepare ourselves, both at a physical level, at a mental level, and a spiritual level. And then obviously, as a Sai family, we're coming together, for the first time after the pandemic. How do we prepare ourselves for those? So there was a number of sort of initiatives put in place, but those were tweaked as we, got the insights, member feedback. So there's a lot of, engagement from the members to make sure that, not only the journey in Prasanthi was actually comfortable and a pleasant one, but also the journey from when when this was actually launched by Uncle, that information and that journey actually was the experience was actually well received by members. And
also, it is not just planning, just an admin work. I was telling everyone that even the planning committee members has to practice sadhana while they are planning. So every morning, Sister Saraswati will send Swami's quotes to the group. So we read that one. So we understand what Swami expects from us. We didn't take it as like a simple, admin work. We wanted everything that as a sadhana for us, our daily sadhana. So it was, we are connecting to Swami all the time.
Both of us visited each of the centers in New Zealand, and we talked about the benefits of coming to the ashram as such. And every center we had gone into, and likewise, brother in Australia, this was actually brought up, and we talked about it, and we told everyone about this. And we had multiple town hall meetings where devotees could ask for clarifications or anything which they were planning for anyway. So multiple town hall meetings were happening, and in New Zealand we actually visited each center. In Australia, brother was actually going around in all the states and giving this to the devotees an opportunity to come in here. So the information was actually, and then we, as I said, we tweaked, we made sure that their journey to ashram was as comfortable from a planning point as possible we could do anyway. So that made it from our viewpoint a success as such.
Talking about sadhana leading to the pilgrimage, I think one of the important aspects that Swami reminds us of is the importance of seva being taken up as sadhana.
Yes.
And also it is a very unifying factor in that sense. How much important role did it play in reorganizing and leading up to the pilgrimage?
In fact, not leading up to the pilgrimage, but it was very important when the centers started opening. The lockdown in Australia was removed and people were coming out. How do we engage members? And service, I saw, Swami always emphasizes on how important service is, but I practically saw how it connected members. And there's some beautiful examples which Swami blessed us with. One of them being reaching out to a community, a very remote community in Papua New Guinea. In December last year, Swami blessed us with that opportunity where our association with a New South Wales Rural Fire Service enabled us, the chair of the Rural Fire Service reached out to us saying there is a remote village where there is a hospital, Kokoda Memorial Hospital, and that's got a history on its own. They are in need of some facilities for the hospital. And the immediate one was mosquito nets and hospital grade mattresses because the mothers would come to deliver babies and they'll get infected by malaria and other things. So that opportunity brought members together immediately. We reached out to members and immediately we were able to source some 30 hospital grade mattresses and around 30 mosquito nets which was delivered. Following that, we were able to then send to the families Christmas hampers. And then again, for a long time we have been thinking of reaching out to the Aboriginal communities. This time around for the winter appeal, we had beanies, gloves, blankets, socks, everything put together, and members physically, they put it in bundles. So they were engaged in putting this together. And then about 18 members, 5 cars, drove more than 600, 700 kilometers to the remote Aboriginal communities. These service activities, people started resonating with. They were able to charge themselves. And then when the pilgrimage news came in, they were already engaged. They were in the seva mode. So that helped a lot in the journey.
Those service opportunities that Brother spoke about that we had those were not what I would call service of convenience. The example of Kokoda, which is about a 96 kilometer journey from the capital of a place called Port Moresby, to get to that particular village, it's either a half an hour flight, which is how the mattresses were taken up to that village, or it's about a 4 to 12 days trek. So physically you have to take, obviously you couldn't take mattresses, but if you were to walk to the village, so I think it takes about 4 to 12 days. So I think, it's a great example of where I think through obviously Swami's blessings and, identifying those opportunities for us, through the collaboration with the members, we were able to reach out to a very, very remote place where most people will not probably go out to. And then I think the Aboriginal community that Brother was talking about as well, that's another good example where I think, that's something that we have, through again, Swami's blessings, we've been able to reach out to that community where, most of the other NGOs are not getting to. So again, it's really a blessing from Swami. But I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of expand on and grow further on those types of examples that we can look at as well.
During lockdown, again, the medical team identified a need in the community. There was one particular group in the community that were very affected by the pandemic. And on closer inquiry, they found out that these people were so poor that they couldn't even afford the kits to do the test. So they went untested, and the COVID just spread quite rampant in that community. So that was the start of a very interesting project. The medical team put together a COVID kit. So it was a testing kit and medication together with that, and masks and gloves and all sorts of things. To latch on to that, Everybody Helps started to contribute by way of, putting together dry food parcels. So that went as a pack. So you had a medical pack as well as a food pack. Soon after, things opened up. Now, we have a very interesting service project in New Zealand. It's called Kai from Sai. It's been running for some time back now. It's actually reached a very mature stage, and it runs on its own. We feed about 700 people a week. So it's a little like a mobile kitchen that goes to the rural areas where there's a need, which has been identified. And we feed 7 days a week and 7 different locations. All centers are involved in this. They get together at a common venue, and they prepare the meals and they take it along and serve these people. And we have our young adults who are also have taken a segment for that feeding, so they are engaged as well. And it's interesting to see how things have evolved with them, because that is like a spiritual exercise on its own, because they do like a study circle and they sing bhajans while preparing the food. So that's an excellent service activity. By reaching out to these communities, we've identified another need. So, it was mainly very poor, low decile areas that we've been serving. And we found that not only were they not able to afford food or nourishing food, they also had no access to even primary medical care, So the medical team again did an exercise, and they found out that there's a definite need. It was just a bus. It's just like a Nissan Civilian that looks pretty much like Swami's bus. So what happened was they converted that to accommodate 2 consulting rooms, an examination table, and a basin. So that was sufficient to start the program. And in addition, we had a triage area where they would screen the patients, do the BP and all sorts of things before they see the doctors. And so this program at the moment operates every fortnightly, and it's becoming more and more popular with the recipients. And the plan is to slowly extend that to maybe weekly and extend it to other areas around. It's interesting that we have a medical team and a whole lot of support people serving in this medical screening unit. And about 50 to 60% of them, the medical personnel, are actually young adults. So they find that another very stimulating service project.
I think a similar one, given that in Australia we had recently a lot of rain and flooding all around the Lismore area and Davao. A lot of young adults, and this opportunity where we have used social media to engage as quick as a rapid response we could see anyway. I can see that given that the engagement is there, if you have a rapid response team, I think within 48 hours or so we were driving kilometers anyway. So a good opportunity anyway. So brother,
that's a good example, Brother Kamal, because the engagement of young adults, I mean, we all know they're very energized in devotional singing and musical offerings. But this was after the lockdown, there was a shift in the approach. When we thought about going to Davao, driving, about 7 hours with all the winter clothes, out of the 18 members that accompanied us, 11 of them was young adults. The great numbers. Then going for Davao to Lismore, driving 11 hours up north, unloading it and driving back. Again, that had so many young adults participating in that response. So I think Seva has changed perspective of all the members and it is coming out of the lockdown that how can we have all seen how time can change, and members have come to the forefront now to serve. They are having their own individual sadhanas, but it's how we can go out and help the community.
Weekly, both countries, I went to Wellington, both countries, they feed over 1,000 people weekly, at least 3 times a week for homeless people. They are feeding. Yes. And every year, I think more than 15,000 birthing kits. This is for the third world countries. They have problem with the sanitary issue. So we buy the product, and our devotees prepare the package, and we send it to. There's an organization called Birthing Kit Foundation. We send. Then we are very closely working with the Red Cross for blood donation. and all the local councils are here. I don't know, there we call regional council, there is the community hub. So we do all the tree plantings with them. So there are other activities, the regular activities going on, and all young adults.
And young adults are driving the national tree planting. They are driving the homeless feed. They are doing the bathing kit.
Blood donation.
Yes, blood donations is their main.
I think the key there is engagement, as we talked about. One of the probably key aspects of this is giving a feedback to the members, either in a speedy manner or live, as such, a live feedback coming through. I think that's one subtle change in the last 2 years which has been seen. So if we do go for a flood remoted area, devotees who are unable to go but are here participating can see the immediate benefit of it anyway. So that engagement factor is actually linked live anyway, and probably brother is more expert in that area, how that actually worked in that sense anyway.
Following the reorganization, if I may call it, I think it's not only information flow and the speed of the information flow. I think it's important to engage our devotees, but also how if I look at the case of the flooding in Lismore. So Lismore, just for context, is about a 10-hour journey from Sydney, which is one of the largest cities in Australia, and that had been devastated, and there was probably flooding of about 14-15 meters. So most of the township was actually flooded. And I think within a matter of a couple of days, we were able, obviously, with a service team, mobilizing the members coming together, we were able to obviously deliver that food parcels, dry food packs to the affected communities. But I think the important thing was actually how quickly we were able to respond as a result of, I guess, not only information getting through to members, but also, I guess, how that information was then, in fact, actually went viral to other members in the general community. And the drop-off points, I think the stats could be something almost like 25-30% of the things that were being brought in for those affected communities was coming from outside of our members in our organization. So I think it's actually how, again, with Swami's blessings, if we can respond in a quick manner, respond with the right, I guess, view and the right attitude and right intent, if I may call it, that Swami will actually guide us, but also how we can mobilize not only our members but also our community. So that's a nice, I think, approach as well.
That was a real touch, like emotional thing, because we were never able to engage community outside of the Sai family, and that was an occasion where we saw that the community, because we had posted it on the social media platforms, they saw that the organization was reaching out, and they were calling and they were bringing things in, and there was so much of it that again there was local floods as well, so we were able to channel the resources and able to respond to that as well. So it was really nice.
The countdown has really begun for the centenary celebrations. The next important point is, how do you sustain that energy?
Yes.
Taking it forward, and how is this energy going to be retained and carried forward in the run up to this?
We identified that we need to continue to sustain this energy of all the people who came. So we want to, first we had a meeting today with our managing trustee, all the national office bearers. We met, we discussed about the plans, immediate plans, not just wait for a couple of months. So but when we go back, what are the plans? So then the two national presidents, they started discussing, not as Australia as a country, but they discussed together, how can we work together? So they are going to come up with some plans early, next week. And they go back.
One of the immediate things that we are thinking, brother, to do is through the media team, we are trying to get all the videos and snippets and everything together, workshop contents. So not all of it, but just snippets together in an hour-long video. And we are hoping to share it with all our centers and request them that for that 1 hour, as a study cycle, show it to all the members who have gone from here and who haven't been able to participate. So it becomes a study cycle, and they all view it, and the members who have almost every center from Australia has been represented. So these members, when they are looking at the videos, the members who have been here, they can share their experience as part of that. So that's one of the immediate things that we are thinking of doing, so that energy that the members here are going to take forward, they can share it through that visual.
That's one thing.
Yes.
And also the young adults, they want to have the, now with this retreat, they made them to start thinking immediately a young adult retreat, a national retreat. So they're all going to reunite, regroup in May or April or May.
In May. And because they have become so close with the New Zealand, like it's a zone thing, and this is bringing together.
Maybe Canada.
They are thinking of extending the invite for the national.
So the couple of things are happening.
Yes.
This is one.
So there is a
couple of plans, and also we are going to have a center leaders conference. So now we are going to visit all the centers to encourage them to register. It is going to happen in Prasanthi. So we are expecting over 1,500 people. So we have a responsibility now, visit all the centers to talk about our journey and then make them.
So as we conclude this small session, probably your final thoughts. Maybe we could start with Brother Rakesh about the pilgrimage, about the whole thing of being here after this while. Any recollections from your journey with Swami?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely been, the last 6-7 days has definitely been, I would say, on one hand, probably the intensity, but also of the pilgrimage. I think as we spoke about earlier, it's a very different pilgrimage, not only the first ever pilgrimage from a zonal point of view, but also, we've got the entire Sai family. So I think the way for me is actually now we've got many countries in the zone, yet there is actually one zone and one Swami. So for us, I think is actually how, and for me personally, I think is actually how do I go back and actually, maintain this energy that I've got, and again, how do I dissipate this? And for me, it's actually about how do I do this through Swami's work and continue to do his work. So that would be my final thoughts, and also probably also to add to that, I think is how do we engage our members? And I think there's a lot of discussion today about a lot of feedback, positive feedback from members. So I think from a media point of view, I think is how do we capture those moments and continue to actually share those experiences? Because obviously, the pilgrimage right now, we've all got that high energy. It's probably incumbent on us in the next few months is how do we keep that energy? How do we keep reminding the devotees of this experience, and then continue that to the next, next major program. So
I think from there's two aspects. One is the personal sadhana. It has given me the opportunity to stay in here for this long and reflect on the things which we have missed in the last few years of not being a regular visitor here as such. So that was the recharge of the battery was being done. That's for the first stage. But it also, from a pilgrimage operations, it gave us an opportunity to identify skill sets, what are available to us anyway, to build a very solid foundation for our zone. We are talking about taking big projects on place. We need to have the right skill sets in here, and this has given us an excellent opportunity to identify the strengths which are within the zone, so that we can plan for bigger and better things to offer to Bhagavan on the 100th anniversary session. So a wonderful opportunity was given in your side.
As a zone chair, I have Swami has given me a job to make sure the zone 3 countries, devotees, they are moving forward Swami's mission, taking Swami's message to all the human. So for that, we need all the devotees energized and working together with us. So that is my main objective of unite all countries, particularly young adults. Without the young adults, the organization cannot move forward. So we need their support. So I'm very much interacting with young adults to keep the journey moving forward. So that is one thing. And I haven't worried about the outcome of the pilgrimage. I only wanted everyone, me, including me, to take the personal sadhana. Every day when we are doing our work, whether I am doing the right thing as Swami is teaching. So if we do that, we know the outcome will be definitely more than expected. So these are the two things.
You know, whether we realize this or not, we are all on this journey to self-realization. So, you know, this pilgrimage, although it's coming to an end here at Puttaparthi, you know, it must continue at a much deeper level. Otherwise, it's a wasted exercise. You know, it must be a pilgrimage, an ongoing pilgrimage from head to heart until the goal is reached.
It has been a really blissful experience for me. Coming to Prasanthi is just amazing. Coming with a pilgrimage with 300 members, I think the one thing that you all experience but have not touched, and I want to touch that, is the challenges that it comes with. Because while we put our best foot forward to do everything for the members, and we are the first Seva Dals to look at their comfort and make sure that they have the best of the times, a memorable time, it comes with challenges. And the transformation was for me to go through all of these challenges and keep smiling, and how can I maintain the calmness and the peace and the bliss. That was realization and, you know, a transformation for me. Like, you have 300 members, children, young adults, and so many things, and the committee, which is logistically running everything, and balance it all out. It was, I think Swami puts you in this place so that it's for our own journey, our own transformation, as you said, brother. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I think before we used to come to Prasanthi, as you know, and it is our home, the experience this time has been, you have been welcomed into your home. It's so welcoming. You could ask for anything.
Anything, yeah.
You know, and that's how I felt.
Yeah.
That you are back home.
Like asking the Father, straight we got everything what we asked for. So I don't think anything that we couldn't.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And it's always the organizing committee that puts in the sleepless nights, thankless days, so that the other members truly enjoy a blissful pilgrimage. So congratulations in due to all of you for the wonderful work. May Swami use all of us more and more in bringing more and more people closer to him. I think with those thoughts, thank you all for being here and sharing all your thoughts.
Thank you.
Sai.